What was the cringiest thing you did in middle school? I was never smooth with the ladies. I was chatting up a few gals, and then I started to get nervous, and I decided it was a good time to wink. They were just staring. Then of all the things to do, I wink again. They walked away laughing. It was extremely awkward, and I still rerun the moment in my head. Asked my crush whom I never talked to if she'd go to a informal dance with me. Her look of confusion was worse than the fact she had a well-known boyfriend. I bet someone I could steal one of the big trash cans from the lunchroom. So I wheeled that thing almost off of school property. Then I got yelled at by a lunch lady. In a panic I acted like I was mentally challenged to try and not get in trouble. It worked. My absolute favorite outfit was a pair of orange boys cargo pants and an oversized yellow Gap t-shirt. I wore this outfit probably once a week. I went through an ugly as cool phase. Asked a crush if she wanted to go to a dance with me via a note that I gave to her best friend. Her best friend returns a note with a circled yes and a note that says meet me there. Her mom was a chaperone, so she was going to be early. Me being the terrified middle schooler I was, didn't approach her the entire time, made awkward eye contact twice, but never said a word to each other throughout the entire dance. You've just given anyone who even glanced at the title of this thread a flashback to a time where we were all awkward and uncool. I once fell down the stairs in a comically improbable fashion. 2 flights of stairs. I tripped, went rolling down, and made a one-handed grab for the banister near the bottom of the first flight. This effectively turned me into a human tetherball, sending me swinging around the banister and down a second flight of stairs. Plenty of witnesses. This was in 8th grade, and I was extremely weird. My class had to do this assignment projects in groups of 2 or 3, and everyone already had a partner or a group, and I was like shit, I'm going to look like a loser being alone. Then I remembered this girl who was really nice. I did a project with her a week or 2 before, so I decided to ask her. Yet for some reason my mouth was glued shut, and I was too embarrassed and could not say anything to her. So I wrote on a little piece of paper, do you want to do the project with me? And handed the slip of paper to her awkwardly. She read it and was like, who wrote this? I just pointed to myself awkwardly. Worst minute of my life. She laughed awkwardly and kept saying sorry to me. She already had a partner. Duck, that was awkward and cringy. Edit. It didn't help that I approached her when we were alone by our lockers. ZZZ. I was a young girl with beautiful long blonde hair. For reasons I can't even fathom, I decided to shave my own head. Only I freaked out and gave up after one pass of my dad's razor. I shaved off a small area right in the front middle of my forehead. Of course, it was stupid obvious. Of course, people made fun of me. Of course, it took months and months before it was long enough to tie back with the rest of my hair. Yay me. It's hard to pick just one thing, but I was in middle school 1981 to 83. For a class we had to do an oral report on someone famous, where we had to dress like them, and it was video recorded. Video recording was a big deal then as it was still pretty new. I decided to do my report on Mick Jagger, kind of missing the point that it was history class and they were looking more for traditional historical figures. Anyway, I'm a female, which is fine. But I wore a pink and green striped polo shirt with the collar up and a pair of white jogging pants. I brought in a tape recorder from home to play Start Me Up 4 when I walked on and off the stage. And if all that isn't enough, I actually attempted to do the chicken walk thing Mick Jagger does. I seriously have nightmares this tape will resurface someday. First period of 7th grade. First day. I was excited to get a new start, seeing a 6th wasn't a whopping success for me, and I was simultaneously freaking out. Don't say anything stupid. Don't look at anyone funny. Don't fart. Just take it easy and everything'll be fine. The teacher asks us to come up one by one to hand in our schedules to make sure we are in the right room. I take one step, foot catches my backpack on the floor, and I sail to the ground at what I can only assume was terminal velocity. The resounding thud was as loud as my confidence in my new start was fleeting. Everyone was laughing. I was red-faced embarrassed. Well, shit. At least we got that out of the way early this time round. right? No way it could get worse. I pick myself off the floor, brush it off, and then proceed to trip up on my backpack a second time. Good times, good times. I accidentally told the teacher that my name was Satan on my first day in a new school. Lord of the Rings came out when I was around 12-13. So I of course became obsessed and read all the books, learned Sindarin etc. For a music class I wrote and performed a traditional dwarven mining song. I was also a big fan of Terry Pratchett, which gave me a weird sense of humor, so all of the lyrics were the word gold with various inflections. For 8 verses. Edit, hahaha. Of course this post would get gold. I wore a belt around my neck for a couple weeks. I was abducted back th. I started a secret admirer love letter series to a girl I admire redlisted. I used my mom's electric typewriter, embellished the envelopes with artwork like roses, and delivered them to her doorstep when she wasn't looking. Eventually I had developed a whole secondary persona, with name and birth date and other details. When confronted at school, I just claimed to deliver them for the poor besotted guy. After about 20 letters, I was invited to hang out with her so she could learn more about this mysterious admirer at her home. Her mother confided with me that a shrink had analyzed the letters and decided it must have been a 20-something pedo creep, what with the vocabulary and all. I explained to her mother, significantly keeping eye contact, that the admirer's vocabulary was pretty much identical to my own. The girl was in the room and didn't get this obvious admission. The girl was quite put out when she eventually pieced together the truth, because she didn't want a nerd like me. Oh god. So I had this VHS tape that had a SNL anniversary special from like 1989 on it, recorded from TV. My best friend and I used to watch it all the damn time. It was a collection of popular sketches from the 70s and early 80s. We particularly liked the Fast-Drunk Brothers skits with Dan Aykroyd and Steve Martin as these swinger-type guys that spoke broken English and were constantly trying to get laid. That was the one we liked best. We didn't understand the 6 jokes. We just figured we should love those characters because our parents did. My friend's mom even bought us hats that looked like this. So here we were, 2 13-year-old white girls in 1996, wearing ugly 70s hats, making Lammy's 6 jokes that we did not understand, much to the delight of our classmates looking for someone to make fun of. Cringe. Fingerless gloves in summer. What? Listen to Insane Clown Posse. I wrote myself secret admirer notes. I would make the notes in class when no one was looking and then ask to use the restroom. I'd just slip them in my locker and wait until class ended. Then I would show them to the girl that had the locker next to me. I would act so surprised and get really blushy. Documenting all of my cringiness on Zanga. Every word on it makes me wish I had parents who banned computer use. It wouldn't have stopped me from being awfully embarrassing in real life. I was seen for a minute there, but at least there wouldn't be any solid proof of it. Sigh. Fair-skinned white girl, here, decided to tan using baby oil. Yeah I know, so I could be as tan as the Latin woman I saw doing it. I literally had boils covering my face secreting water and oil for a week. So, that was cool. In 7th grade, when I was very sheltered, I watched Austin Powers, Goldmember before my Wednesday church group. When our youth pastor said he had a headache and his Advil wasn't working, I suggested Viagra because I thought all pills were for headaches. The class got quiet and didn't explain to me why what I said was wrong once I tried to explain myself. God, why? For those of you who haven't seen the movie and remember, Austin and his father make a joke saying I swallowed a Viagra that got caught in my throat and I've had a stiff neck a week, or something to that effect. Oh god, where do I even begin? Middle school was one big cringe fest, a cringe orgy, and as the tall, awkward nerdy guy I rarely stood a chance. I admit this one isn't as explicitly cringy as it is just a story I would kick myself over for a long time. So this one time I was out in the schoolyard talking to a friend when the cutest and hottest girl in my year walked straight up to us. Now this is the girl who every single guy in school has a crush on, and I'd never even spoken a word to her before. Still, she walks up, completely ignores my friend, and says to me, "I know your sister." I knew this to be true. They were in a marching band together, so I had seen her at concerts. In fact, I hardly saw anyone but her at those concerts. She was that pretty. I wondered if all this was leading up to some cruel joke at my expense, but I don't see it. She wasn't one to pick on people, and while I wasn't among the coolest kids, I was rarely picked on. So I just don't see it. Instead I reply, "I know." Then for some mysterious reason that only my young, hormonal teenage brain could explain, I do this. I end the conversation by walking away, and my friend doesn't miss a beat and joins me, and she is left standing alone. We never spoke again. I thought of another one. One teacher gave us index cards with a few questions on the first day and read them back to us on the last, in front of everyone. One of the questions was, if you could be anyone for a day, who would you be? My answer was Gary Coleman. I'm a white female. Turned down a really cute girl that asked me out. I don't even remember why I did it. Worst idea ever, young me. Wanted to get an edgy haircut, but had very little money, so I went into Great Clips. I wanted to get a pixie cut, but the woman cutting my hair screwed up royally, and I went through 6th and 7th grade getting mistaken for a boy. I was wearing a shirt that said "I'm not lucky, I'm good." My math teacher called on me quite a bit that day. I was not good. Somewhere around 6th grade, I bought a pair of glasses at Claire's young girls accessory store. However, they weren't sunglasses, but a pair of fake glasses meant to look like a real pair. Clear plastic lenses. I always thought it would be neat to have glasses, so I bought them and wore them to school and told everybody I needed glasses now. Everyone asked me about them and said they looked good, and they had no idea I even needed them. However, my ruse was foiled when someone asked to look at them and pointed out to everyone they weren't real glasses. Cringe. Also around 4th grade when Spice Girls were the sheet, my friend and I rode to 7-Eleven and bought Spice Girls lollipops speaking in British accents to the clerk thinking we were flawless at it. In 6th grade my friend was telling a funny story and I laughed so hard I started crying. Next thing I know, another guy host sitting next to me starts tickling me. Him kicking, squirming, and trying to get away when I ducking peed myself. Wore a cat collar and cat ears to fit in with the cool anime club kids. Edit to clarify, I thought they were cool. Cringe. Stopped wearing cat ears after 7th grade year, but wore collars for a good few years after that. Spiked ones and sheet. I still somehow ended up being a well-liked and fairly popular kid by senior year. How? Question mark? I used to see how long I could go without pooping. Eventually the poop forces itself out though, if you are not on medication. So I'm in class in maybe 6th grade, have not taken a sheet for over a week, and the need comes. I'm able to suppress the urge partially with my amazing Kegel muscles, but I still have minor mud butt, and my underwear are nasty. Being the stupid 6th grader I was, I go to the bathroom, remove the underwear, and try to flush them down the toilet. They stick in there and clog it. I think, oh well, duck it, at least I'm clean. Later that day someone else in my class finds them and removes them from the toilet. WTF. To find that they were the same underwear I had taken to summer camp, and my mother had written my initials on them. The guy who found them comes back in and announces to the class that he found sheety underwear in the toilet with the initials on them. I must have been red as a cherry and sweating bullets, but there happened to be a kid in my class whose nickname happened to be my initials. He got blamed for it, and I got off easy. The other kids in the class were at the point where they were going to check us for lack of underwear when the teacher stopped it.